Well, you know this gentleman certainly from the Shreveport political world, but he is also an experienced college football referee. Mr. Ken Antee is here. Hey, Ken, how you been? Nice talking to you once again.
Doing good, Robert and Erin. How are y'all this morning?
Not good, Ken.
We'll get to you. Pardon me, ladies, gentlemen, we'll get to Erin's headache or headaches in a moment. Before we do, run down your football, your officiating resume, just to bring us up to speed.
Well, I've been a football official for 30 years. I did 11 years in Louisiana High School Association before I got into Conference USA, and this is my 19th year with Conference USA and my 8th year as the white hat or the referee.
So it's fair to say Ken Antee knows the rules.
I know them. I better.
Okay, Ken.
I don't prepare to be the expert of all rules that some are, but I know the rules.
The refs assigned to the A&M LSU game, who are they? How are they assigned there? Are they like A&M grads or something?
No, the head referee is a guy by the name of Matt Austin, who's out of Louisville, Kentucky. He and I officiated arena football together. Matt's a very good person and, in my opinion, a good official. But, you know, the referees, we get blamed for a lot of stuff, but really all we are is the mouthpiece and the manager of the game. The calls that are being made, with the exception of involving the quarterback or a hold, are done by the other 8 officials or other 7 officials.
Were the calls? I'm sorry.
And none of them would have been A&M graduates and been in that game.
Okay. Were the calls made during the LSU A&M game? Were any of them questionable from your perspective as an official?
In any game, there's going to be questionable calls. The question is whether or not the questionable calls are right or wrong. And then you have judgment calls, and then you have rules interpretations. And I can't discuss the judgment calls because those are judgment. I can just tell you what the rules are, and I can tell you what the philosophy is for most conferences, and specifically for our conference, which is based a lot on the NFL philosophy.
A lot of people are freaking out about that kill the clock with grounding the football there at the end of the game. And the NCAA rule, I guess, is 3 seconds have to be on the clock. Walk us through that as you were watching it.
That rule developed over the last probably 5 or 6 years. Basically, if there's a first down, as in this case, and there's 3 seconds on the clock, if the team is lined up and ready to go when the referee gives the signal, and what we do in that situation is we raise our arm, we blow the whistle because the quarterback can hear it before they can in the press box, and then after we blow the whistle, then we chop it ready to wind the clock.
So pardon me, just walk. I did not see the end of the game. I picked it up about second overtime. So at the end of the game, Texas A&M had made a first down. On the first down, the clock stops. The official.
There were 3 seconds on the clock. They lined up. They were in position at the time the referee blew the ready for play, and he immediately spiked it to the ground. So under the rule, if you immediately spike it when they blow the whistle, then by rule you get one more play.
So you're watching LSU people. You're watching LSU people go crazy, but you at home sitting there watching it, you're going, "Yeah, that's just a run. No big deal there." Is that what you were thinking?
I was actually in my hotel room after my game in Miami watching it on my iPad because they didn't have the SEC channel.
Right.
And it didn't. My question was, why were they going to review to see what the play clock showed, even because it did show 1 second when the ball hit the ground, because by rule they're entitled to one play. Now, if he would have gotten the ball and delayed, taken his time and thrown it, then the clock runs out, then it's on him and you don't get a play. But unfortunately, he did what he was supposed to. He immediately spiked it, and by rule, he gets one extra play.
Let's talk about the Sternberger catch/fumble. Why isn't that reviewed?
It was reviewed.
And it was reviewed.
It was reviewed. I think it was ruled on the field as a incomplete pass. That's one that if you go to the referees or if you go to the replay clinic in April of this year that they have in Dallas, where they have all the replay officials from all the conferences there, and they go over, and you split the room up, and you have them look at it and vote secretly. You'd probably have 50% say catch fumble, and you'd probably have 50% come in and say incomplete pass.
I'm looking at a piece in the Advocate today that says, after some discussion, but no official review, officials on the field ruled the play was an incomplete pass. Is that inaccurate?
I think so. My recollection was that it was reviewed.
Okay.
And keep in mind, every play is being well, let me back up. Every play is supposed to be reviewed. They only stop the game for an official review if they need more time to look at it, or if they're going to overturn it or confirm it. But every play is being reviewed, and certain plays are reviewable and certain plays are not reviewable. That play is reviewable and was reviewed, even if it wasn't an official one. But I do think they officially stopped the clock and let the play stand.
Okay,
but that was a tough one that could go 50-50.
I think another one that's probably 10-90 was the pass interference call in the end zone on Greedy Williams. Was that pass interference? Would you, Ken Antee, have thrown that flag?
Uh-oh.
Well, as a referee, I would not have, because I'm back behind the quarterback, and that's my weasel way out of it.
If you were that guy, whatever his name is, back there in the end zone, would you have thrown that flag?
Let me give you what the philosophy of Conference USA and most conferences are. It's called T&C, time and circumstance.
Okay.
When you get into crucial parts of the game, which obviously the seventh overtime is a crucial part of the game, it better be murder or mayhem. Make it big. Make the call make itself. Don't look for nitpicking calls. Make it have a material effect on the play or give an advantage or disadvantage.
So that one bothers you then?
I'll leave it to all the viewers to decide, did it have a material effect on the play? Did it create an advantage or a disadvantage? And
the ball wasn't catchable. The ball wasn't catchable, Ken.
Now that comes into a rule. And the philosophy on that is, to be uncatchable, it's got to be way out of bounds, because these athletes are unbelievable now, what they can do or not do. But, Erin, I don't think you need to go to the uncatchable, catchable part to get the answer.
Mr. Ken, when he got the personal foul at the end of that play, when the back judge, I guess it is, threw his hat up in the air, what do you say? Because I'm sure players have said really mean things to you. What kind of remark would Greedy Williams have had to make to get that personal foul in that circumstance?
I don't think we can say it live on the air.
Oh,
so
no.
It had to be something really, really, really rough.
Well, keep in mind, this official had been out there for going on 6 hours when you count the hour before the game. He was probably tired, edgy as well. But usually you don't make those, or I like to have our crew have the philosophy that you don't make those calls unless they're showing you up or unless you have warned them. And if they're showing you up in the middle of the field, then you make it immediately. If they say something inappropriate, you warn them, you warn the coach, and the next time you get them. Sometimes it can be so bad that you get them immediately, but I mean, that was a half a yard penalty that really didn't have any effect.
Okay, Ken, this officiating crew is in the office with you around the table. You got to score them on how they did at this game. 1 being they suck.
Oh, man.
10 being they were magnificent. Where does Ken Antee score this crew?
My God, Ken, look at the time.
I would have to get our game film that we get after each game and go through and look at it, because there were over 200 plays in there, and we're talking about 5 or 6. And I'm not going to pass judgment on that without I was just a fan watching it on TV with a little more knowledge than the normal fan based on my experience. And they're all good guys. They're all honest guys. their philosophy may be a little different than ours in that they call more what we call nitpicking things, or things that don't have a material effect on the play.
Mm-hmm.
That may be what their supervisor wants, but I can certainly understand the angst of a lot of people, and even had some A&M referee friends of mine called to try and console me, since they know I am an LSU fan.